Good morning, everybody. We are beginning week 5, and this week we are going to have still continue working with Excel. So you're going to have an assignment out there that you're going to work through some information in Excel. You're going to watch my video, which is this one we're looking at right now, and then there's also an Excel video that's out there attached within the assignment. And there's a series of pages of information about formulas that you will need to read. I'm going to go through some of that information right now. So we're going to go ahead and first off, you're going to click on your assignments. You will scroll down and you'll find week 5 Excel formula introduction activity. And this is a assignment / quiz also. So my video will be interjected right here. Then you will start through this information in this document right here. So we're going to talk about the introduction to Excel. This week we are going to be looking at formulas and how we use formulas. One of the most powerful features of Excel is its ability to do calculations of numerical information, and it uses formulas to do that. So you can add, subtract, multiply, divide, all kinds of mathematical functions within Excel. And we're going to show you how to use that with a cell reference in that regard. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to watch this video here that says Introduction to Formulas. And when you're done watching that, you're going to then go into the information here. I'm going to go ahead and put this in preview so it's a little bit easier for you guys to see it. So this is what you're going to see. You're going to watch in. It's quiz instructions. This is a quiz from the information. Here's the Excel introduction video. You just click on that and start it. So you can pause my video, watch that, and then go through. And then it talks about the different pieces. The first thing we're going to talk about is mathematical operands. You guys have been in math for years, so you should know these. They are the standard operators that are used in your formulas, like a plus sign, a minus sign, subtraction, asterisk is what we use for multiplication, and then a forward slash is what we use for division, and then the caret, which is just an upward arrow, which is located on your keyboard. It's a special character. It's the shift and the number 6. It'll give you that caret there. So here are these: plus sign for addition, the dash or minus sign for subtraction, an asterisk for multiplication. Division is our forward slash, and for exponents we use the up caret. So all the formulas in Excel, whenever you're working with Excel formulas, you must start and they must begin with an equal sign. This is because that cell contains an equal sign. It knows that it is a formula. Otherwise, it's just a value of a number of information that you put in there. But putting an equal sign in the beginning of the cell informs it that it is a formula. It's not just a value. So while you're creating your, you can create very simple formulas by using such things as just an equal sign, +2 or an equal sign 5 times 5. But most of the time you'll want to use a cell address, not the actual numbers, because those numbers are not relative. They are specific to a specific number or adding something together. They're not able to be changed or modified. So using a cell address when you create a formula is known as cell referencing, or making a cell reference. And using a cell reference ensures that your formulas are always accurate, because you can change the values of the reference cell without having to rewrite your formula. So you can make changes to your numbers without having to rewrite the formula. So we're going to look at a couple of those things here in this section called creating a formula. To create a formula, so in our example below here, you're going to see that we're using a very simple formula in Excel. And we're going to place that formula into cell B3. Remember our coordinators for our cells. You have your column B and then row 3. So the intersection of the column and the row is what the cell is called. So this cell where you have the big white cross is, or I call the fat white cross, is B3. So what you would do to put that formula in there, just like it says, you would type an equal sign to start with, and then it'll show up in your formula bar. So this is where you're typing in B3, but it shows up in your formula bar as well. So you'll start out with an equal, and then you're going to tell it what you want it to do. So you can type the cell addresses of the cells that you want to reference first in the formula, which we're going to use the cell B1, which is this one right here, in the example, which has a blue border around it. And then you can type the mathematical operator that you're going to use, which we're using a plus sign. So we would put equals B1 plus sign, and then you would put the cell that you want to add to it, which is B2. So we're going to add B1 to B2, and the answer is going to be located in B3. So your formula goes in cell B3, and it is just equal sign B1 plus B2, and you can type that in just like that. And then you press enter, and the formula then calculates that information, calculates it. Just a quick note that whenever, if the results of your formula are too large to fit into the cell, it'll show up as pound signs instead of the value. This means that the column's not wide enough for the information that you're trying to put into that cell. And it's a super simple, easy thing to do. You can just increase the width of that column, which we talked about in one of our videos over the last week, where you auto size your column. You can go up and double click on the line right between the two columns, double click on that, and it'll expand it. Or you can click on that and drag that out to make the column the right size. So sometimes you'll get if you want to modify or make changes to the data in your cell. So here we have an example where we have a small worksheet, and we have the June budget and the July budget, and the amount of the June budget is $1,800, and the amount of the July budget is $1,500. And we've got a calculated formula in here that says we're going to calculate or add those up, B1 plus B2, which gives us the $3,300, okay? So you can change this formula. And if you notice, if you roll back up here, originally the B1 or the June budget was $1,200. So we changed it to $1,800, and then the total automatically changes. So when you change the value of the cell B1 from 1,200 to 1,800, then the cell B3 recalculates that value and displays the new amount. Excel will not always tell you if your formula contains an error. So it's up to you to always check your formulas and look at that. And the way you can do that, there's another lesson we'll talk about later on checking formulas. Right now we're looking at very simple formulas. So there's also another way you can create formulas in Excel, and that is called a point and click. Rather than actually typing in all of the cell references that you want to add up or multiply or whatever, you can click on them. So in the example here below, it looks like we're going to select this cell D3, the intersection of column D with row 3. And then we're going to place our equal sign in there. And then we're going to go and click on B3. So we place the equal sign in there. Then we went and clicked here on B3, and you'll see it puts a blue highlighted dash around it, which appears there and reference that cell. Then you put your mathematical sign in there. We're going to use the multiplication sign. On this one, it looks like a times. So times, a multiplication. And then you go and click on C3, the other cell that you want to reference, which gives you your formula which is the equal sign B3 times C3, and then press enter and the formula will calculate out the amount there. So it's great if you're working on a document where you have a unit, this is a unit price here. So if you're buying these items, and this is how many of the items you want, and then this is the price of each of those items. So that way it automatically calculates, every time you put that in there, it'll calculate, if you change the number, the quantity or the total you want, it'll change your total cost across the board, copying that. Now, this is a little bit difficult if you think about, so I've got this here and I've got I got 4 other things. Do I want to go and recreate that formula for every single one of those cells? You could go and click in the next cell, put your equal sign in, say, click on the cell you want to multiply by, put your multiplication, click on the next cell, boom, and do that down back and forth. But there's a much easier way to do that. You can use what's known as a fill handle. Fill handle is our little black cross. So if you move your mouse over your Excel file and you place it right on the right on the corner of that cell, you get this little black cross. And you will then click, hold, and drag that fill all the way down as far as you want to go. So we'll take it all the way down. And once you get down to the bottom, release it, and then it will copy that formula for each of those cells, automatically changing it because it knows that you are moving from row 3 to row 4 to row 5 to row 6. So it will automatically edit that and change it. So as you notice, here our formula is B equals B6 times C6. B6 times C6. Now, when we created the formula up here for the same thing, it was B3 times C3. B3 times C3. So when you use the fill handle, that little black cross, and click, hold, and drag it down to the cell you want, it automatically copies and adjusts to the row that you're in for that formula, which is a great little feature. You can also edit a cell. So many times, sometimes you want to modify the cell or make changes to it the way it's set up. So to do that, you just click into the cell, which we did here, select the cell containing the formula, which we know is B3. So when you click into the cell there, it automatically displays the formula up in your formula bar in the Excel worksheet. And then you can double click up into the formula bar, and then you can modify that. You can change the C2 to something else or B2, whatever you want to do. You can modify and edit that by double clicking in there. Okay? That's one way to do doing that and entering it. And then you can change your cells across the board. Then once you've changed that or made your modification in there, you click on this checkbox to say, check yes, I'm ready for this, it's done. I also look at it as that checkbox, in my opinion, is I'm going to check my formula. So if I put a check mark in my formula right here, or I click on that there, it then tells me if my formula is right, or it'll finish the formula. If there's something wrong, it'll give me an error message and it won't let me save that formula or check that formula across the board. So then it updates the values and information, and there you go. So one thing we said, if you change your mind in the middle of this, you can press the escape key, and the escape key is the key ESC key that is up in the top left-hand side of your corner, and it exits you out of everything. You're ready to go. So we've just went through this. What you'll find when you're done with this, get through it as well, you will have a series of questions. You need to go through and answer these questions. All of these questions come directly from the document above and the video that you're going to watch. So answer those questions. And then when you get done answering those questions, all the way down here at the bottom of this, you're going to see the option Submit Quiz. And that's your assignment for this week. So that is going to introduce us to Excel. And you'll be able to Excel formulas. So we have looked at the last couple of weeks, we've looked at cells and columns. We've looked at rows and columns. We've looked at cells and cell sizes and how to modify cells, rows, and columns. We've also talked about in the previous lessons how to create an Excel spreadsheet and that. So this is going to get you some information on starting that. And then the following week, we're going to do an exercise in Excel where you're going to create some formulas. So hopefully this gets you the information you need. It makes sense to you guys so you know what you're working on. If you have any questions, please reach out to me, leave me a message through the inbox. You can email me, or you can also go back to the home page here, and you can access my information here, my office phone number where you can leave me a phone. There's my email number, and that'll be all set. There'll also be a short little welcoming week 1 video out there, week 5 video out on the homepage just to say hey and get us started for next week. So guys, like I said, every day when you log into Canvas, you need to check the announcements, see what announcements are out there, and watch those and listen, because there's important information that I'm giving you or is being provided by the school. Stuff like graduation information, when you can come and get stuff at the school, if you have materials and stuff there, all kinds of things. What's going to be happening, that's going to be out there as well. Assignments is the other thing that you have to check to make sure you know what your next assignment is. And you'll see this assignment down at the bottom, week 5 Excel formula introduction in there. You also need to be checking your grades. You go into your grades, click on grades, and then for every assignment that you've submitted, there will be, if I put comments out there, you'll see notes and comments, and you need to check those comments, because many times I send your assignment back to you and with something you need to redo. So that is the way things work in here from that perspective. So hopefully you guys have a great week 5, and I will be around and available if you need something. So please don't forget to reach out. We're in this together. So let's have a great week.